Welcome, Sanbonani. I'm Isheweta. You are with your host, Kanyisa Mutema, on Family Matters, where we tackle issues that affect families. We look at socioeconomic issues, cultural issues. We also delve into more deeper things that can help families be more united, more strengthened in our country. And with us today in studio, we have Mrs. Shika Haripol. She's here and we are discussing money matters in the family. Mrs. Haripol, looking absolutely gorgeous in your sari. I'm jealous. Please tell us about yourself, where you come from, your family structure. Very interested to know.
Well, I am married to Mr. Ashwin Haripol. I've been in Johannesburg for just over about 10 years or so. I am a mum of two little ones, both Arad and Tharika, so my son being 8 and my daughter being 4. I would call myself a multifaceted person as I've dabbled in a lot of things. So apart from being an academic in psychology as well as management, accounting and finance, I've also recently acquired a teaching education qualification and part of teaching. Sure. And I'm as well a very passionate classical Kathak dance teacher, performer and choreographer. So that's been part of my life for about 22 years, I would say.
Wow. So you are a dance instructor?
Yes.
In, what did you say it was again?
Classical Kathak.
Oh, classical Kathak.
Yeah, it's Indian classical dancing.
Oh, Indian classical. Oh, like when you go.
Yes.
Ah, okay. I hope maybe at the end you show us
Why
a few
not?
of your moves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but let's get into the serious matter here,
Absolutely.
which is about money.
Yes.
And when we talk about money matters, you know, maybe, basically money issues in the family, what exactly are we talking about?
We bring it down to the family has been the hardest hit, I would say, in the last year or so because of our lockdown alert levels. And a country like South Africa is just developing. It's always a little people that makes up what South Africa is about. And it's all the income and expenses, but starting with that man on the street, lady on the street that's putting together their family and making sure basic necessities and I would say what's their priorities in life. Example, education, food, clothing, housing. I mean, even though there is a lot of ways to acquire that, but it still is up to the individual to bring that forth to their children. And for me, when we talk money matters, when we talk family, it's all surrounding budgeting and what's the needs and the wants of the family.
Okay. Interesting. Budgeting.
I know.
Okay, well, look, I can only speak for my own family.
Yes.
We try as much to budget for the bigger things.
Yes.
Which is probably paying for homes, whatever obligations, fees, and all of that. But when, you know, as a person, just personally, when I budget, I have responsibilities that even go beyond my own family.
Yes.
So I would budget for my own immediate family, which are my children and my immediate household. But then I have extended family, which I'm also directly responsible for.
Yes.
I don't know, in your experience, how do you budget when you have such a structure or when you have such obligations? And I think the viewers at home will agree that it's not easy to budget. I mean, even let's take it to grassroots level with the spirit of Ubuntu.
Yes.
What does it say? I cannot cook 4 pieces of chicken if I'm a family unit of 4 people, because I know that there could be a neighbor or a family member who could walk through the door and lo and behold, you don't have an extra piece of chicken. So it starts there.
Yes.
How do we budget our people? I don't know about how do we budget?
You know, you're saying about that extra piece of chicken.
To the cent.
Yeah.
This is budgeting in its very sense. You are a cost management accountant.
Yes.
When you talk budgeting, you're talking to the cent.
Yeah.
And how does the family also budget when they have zero income?
That's
For instance, a SASSA recipient.
Yes. Well, I want to bring it down to also in our culture. Well, my granny used to always say, don't ever finish all the food in the pot. Always leave aside a tablespoon, because they say we have unexpected guests. And truth to God, that's how we cooked. Like you say,
Yes.
we always cooked and had that little bit extra, and there will be somebody at the door. and there will be. But when we look at both African and Indian culture, it's all about extended family and community. The spirit of Ubuntu has been a part of our cultures for years. But when you say about a family that has zero income and the only income comes through aids, like, you know, the aids of the government, or the aid, like you said, SASSA,
Food parcels.
food parcels and so on, it really comes down, how do you teach them? Because we've got also people out there in South Africa that don't have the necessary education to say, I can read properly or write properly. How can I do this? And how do you educate them? And it comes down to saying, what's your needs again and what's your wants? And the people that can really guide those in that is our pastors, our all those in pastoral leadership, all those social workers, just very casually counseling the family without saying I'm counseling you, without telling them I'm trying to tell you what to do in your family or tell you how to do it. It's to say, let's talk. What do you need? How do you need it? Let's see where we can do. Let's network, but do it in a very respectful and dignified manner. And we have to come to this listing. You know, everybody lists. I mean, even my granny did that as well. But, you know, she always lists. And she always used to go making sure she's the discipline of going in for what you need and coming out with that. Discipline. And we have to be realistic about our life. So when you're coming down to absolute money matters and somebody who has zero income, we have to really take that individual and work individually as a family. Like you say, you can have somebody like me who maybe is multifaceted but is not holding on to a job, a proper job. How do you make the most out of me? And if you talk about single parent units, where the children have become contributed to income generation. I mean, here's you got a single mother who needs her son to help her on the side of the road to sell the fruit and the tomato and the potato to help her and get there. And if he's not there present to these mom, they might not have that extra 10 rand to buy that loaf of bread. So it becomes where everybody gets involved. But it's so important that children see these things, because then they realize where their parents are coming from. So they can say, okay, I understand the effort into it without taking advantage or abuse. You know, that is where you're going to a zero income family. And, you know, when you talk about a family that has zero income, you know, you have to look at the psychology of a person and the emotional well-being and saying, should I ask? Should I not ask? Who can I trust to bring myself to the level to say, I've got nothing, but I have to feed, I've got to feed these mouths, you know? That takes a lot out of an individual, knowing that you're supposed to be responsible, you're supposed to be the one that's bringing in everything. And we got to go back to that emotional health. And again, we go back to our leaderships.
Okay, I like that. I like that. We're about to go on a break.
Yes.
And just before we go on a break, it's only up until I became an adult and a mom that I understood, because when we were growing up, we would simply be told, I don't have money. Leave me alone by my mother.
Yes.
You know, my father. Or they simply disappear. They just don't, you know. But I think when we come back, if we can delve a little bit further and deeper into how do we actually budget as a family.
Yes.
Because I think that will play quite an important role, especially during these times.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Viewers at home, we're about to go on a break. Please stay tuned so that you can know how to budget. Welcome back. You're with your host, Khanyisa Mutema, on Family Matters. We are discussing money in the family. And with us today, we have Mrs. Harry Paul, who's just shared about how her grandmother even taught her the basics of financial management and budgeting, even from a young age, before she even got an education as a cost accountant, cost management accountant. I just want us to maybe delve a little bit deeper into particularly you and your family.
Yes.
You are a dance instructor.
Yes.
You are a consultant in management accounting. You also teach.
Yes.
And you actually got qualified to do it. So someone like you is looking at about 4 or 5 income streams.
Yes.
Okay. And your husband has his own career and what he's doing. But I would like to know from a family perspective, yes, your kids are 8 and 4, but the 8-year-old obviously understands money issues. how do you manage money in your family? We need practical examples so that we can equip the families out there,
Yes.
you know, who are ordinary like you and me, to say, how do we budget
Yes.
the little bit that's there or the much that's there?
You know, I must say, I have to talk about my life a little bit in the transition of how personally I've handled this subject. Even though you can be aware of economy, you can be working the accounts, you can be dealing with incomes and expenses and understanding all of that. But I swear, when you bring it down to your individual family, it's a very different scenario. And for me, I had to first comfort myself knowing that I'm no more in a position where my income was solely mine. And I had to now share it with my husband. And I was very guarded against it at the beginning. I didn't like it. I just had to tell him, tell me what you want, I'll give it to you. But he had no insight into anything else. So that affected our budgeting, because if he needed to do something for the family as a whole, he didn't know if I was there, because my family setup is co-breadwinners. But the ratio works differently. It's 40-60 depending on income and expenses. You know, how much you earn is how much you can spend. And we as a family, I had to learn the hard way and over the years that I've got to be more open to my husband. You know, the financial understanding. My husband and I also discuss a lot about financial infidelity, you know, those kind of.
What is that?
Financial
Shika.
infidelity. You know.
Please educate our guests. Financial infidelity.
Well, I learned.
We understand infidelity as infidelity, but financial infidelity, please educate the viewers.
Yes, it's basically not being open and honest with the partner whom you're walking into to set up this entire life with you, all your income and expenses. I mean, even if you're not declaring your income, you should declare your expenses, so he knows where your stresses are coming from, and she knows in the same regard. It's vice versa. It's both of us. And so we had to have a big discussion around that. And I had to see that financially I had to be more open to sharing. And I can't have two languages with him. One moment I'm sitting and envisioning this beautiful life of husband and wife and children and grandchildren.
Yes.
But then when time to put it in practicality, I had another way of doing things. It didn't work. So we talk about financial, it's like cheating financially, you know. And then I'm not also being open about what I have to spend on. So practical examples of how we overcame it. I had to start becoming more comforted about sharing about my income, my expenses. Secondly, we draw up a list, what's needed in the house, have a look at the groceries cupboard all the time. What is running short, what is needed, what is not needed. You know, you get a shelf of all the non-essentials and you get the shelf of the daily cooking, and and we organize in that manner. And one of I think the best thing that's worked so far is this one line that we tell each other, or he tells me a lot. Sometimes you gotta rather have the 5 rand in your pocket than in somebody else's. So we get the sale papers and look at the same product that can be bought.
So there's like a
you know, if you got a packet,
like a benchmarking to say, okay, at Checkers this costs, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you know, you're walking into Checkers, you're walking to ShopRite, wherever you're walking into, but make sure that you are getting it at the best cost prices possible. And that extra 5 rand can be anything. It can even be for your family charity. Can be the things that matters to your heart as a family, helping others in the community. So it's not always about us as a family unit, how our family affects the community, and the community affects South Africa. So practically, we're always looking at the sale papers, we're looking at budgeting. We always have this motto of saying, let's keep as much, keep the 5 rands and the 10 rands, it'll build up eventually.
Eventually,
Yes, and then one of the things, we involve the 8-year-old into understanding how much we can do for him this month and how much we can't. So he gets involved and he understands. I said, okay, you've got a little bit of income. And there's times I actually went to him and said, son, I don't have 100 rand. Can I borrow that from you?
Good luck getting that.
You know, and I sit down and I say, mommy didn't do, you know, didn't get to the ATM or didn't do it. Can I have some of it? I'm going to use it to do such and such thing. And we also teach him other things, like you've got bake day at school, you've got tuck shop at school, so you need to know how you're managing this for the next month. So we give him an opportunity to manage his own money, and also know he has a responsibility for his family, because mommy can't go out there without something in her pocket in case she's in trouble. So you know, we're taking care of each other in that manner.
Sure. I'm especially intrigued about the sharing and being open, the financial infidelity, or more so fidelity that is needed, in a family. Because, I mean, you look at statistics, the major cause of divorces is finances.
Absolutely.
Actually, and this is quite important to educate, especially young people and even older people, to be more open when it comes to the finances, because it can cause huge issues.
Yes.
For instance, if somebody gets married, they don't declare that, hey, I owe 3 million or 100,000 rands.
Absolutely.
And they come in nice, and then you get married, and then you find yourself in a problem. I think also the disclosure is extremely important, as you said. And I like your approach of saying that it's everyone is involved in it. It's the religious leaders also that have an obligation to teach their congregations, because they are more trusted.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to financial management, besides government doing its work, obviously, in the social services part of things. But I think we're about to take a break now.
Okay.
And when we come back, we are going to basically give tips.
Yes.
Financial tips,
Yes.
budgeting tips of how do we go about it. I mean, I'm personally fascinated by women who you hear that they were domestic workers, but they'll manage to take their children to university.
Yes.
And their children will even have the latest sneakers.
That's it.
At university. I mean, and they will also manage to also build homes, like in the village or wherever. So budgeting has always been part of us and part of our culture. But obviously now in the urban areas, and it becomes a lot more, because things are a bit expensive.
Yes.
So when we come back, let's advise and help us to, help the families out there to put together their rands and cents.
Yes.
And that 5 rands and that 10 rands that they can put away. Welcome back, families. You are with your host, Khanyisa Mutema. We are on the Family Matters show. We are discussing money issues in the family. We're here with Mrs. Harry Paul, who is a multifaceted individual. She's a dance instructor. She is a cost management accountant, and she also teaches, and she's a busybody. She's utilizing all her God-given gifts. And she's here. She spoke about financial infidelity and its impact on the family. And now we're talking about financial fidelity.
Yes.
Because we need to be faithful with our finances and our families. I mean, there's a big joke that goes around at times where they say if a wife earns 10,000 and the husband earns 6,000, how much income does the family have? And the answer is 6,000. Because women, I mean, whether good or bad intentions, we tend to hide money.
Yes.
I'm guilty as charged also. But I hide it, and I tell my husband that it's for my children. I don't want my children, if they need something that's urgent,
Yes.
Especially when you're a mom, and, you tend to be more sensitive, towards, especially for emergencies.
Yes.
That, you need to have that little thing under the mattress.
Yes.
We knew our mothers.
Yes.
They always kept something under
Absolutely.
the mattress, And, okay, so how can families practice financial fidelity?
We have to, the families years back, 30 years back to now, we have had this huge discussion at home one day. I had it with my husband, what my dad did and how he ran his home to how my husband is currently running his home, And a lot has changed. So that means if things have changed from then to now and how a home is run, children's approach, the importance of children in a family. I mean, them days, like you said, we were told to be seen, not heard.
Yes.
And now we want to hear our children and not only just see them.
Yes.
And so a lot of things have changed. And being co-breadwinners instead of a single breadwinner, whether it's mom or dad.
Gender roles.
Yes. And then you're going into a single parent units that now you have to understand their dynamics around there. So when you come down to me running as a family and my husband and how we are doing things, culturally things have changed. But we have to also come down, like you said about genders. You know, I attended a comedy show years back with my husband. It was actually before we got married. It was The Caveman, and he had a very nice analogy of that, and he explained it in obviously in comedy, but it had a lot of truth in it. Is that women are gatherers.
Yes.
You know, they've got to be touching and feeling and plucking and putting it back and understanding and getting the best. And then men are, I go there, I see the bull, I kill the bull, I bring home, I eat.
Yes.
Very simple structure. And then women are all over, just like you have a tree full of flowers and then it bears fruits. She's like that. At different moments, the fruit is flowering, and there's different flowers at different moments. She's dynamic and full of. So that is where, she's got the same application to finances. You know, she sees different needs for different people, different things, and it's not sometimes understandable by the man who says, but you said this and you did that. It's like, yes, I was heading to that tree to pluck that fruit, but I saw it.
I took a short left.
Yes. So when we come to understanding these things, understand the individual makeup. You have to know your family and your individual. There are those who feel a little bit more guarded. There are those who don't. You got to coerce them into saying the better need for the family, the bigger vision.
Yes, I like that. Vision.
The vision.
Family vision.
Family vision.
Yeah.
Do we want a lovely house? Yes. Do we like to have nice clothes? Yes. You know, like you say about the single, the homes run by single moms. I have to go and speak about a woman who I admire a lot, because I felt she had done it through the hardest time in her life. And my husband might find it strange, but true. It's my own mother-in-law, who had not had the comfort and the support of everybody in her life. And she had lost her husband at a young age. But when she today has 4 very educated children.
Sure.
And all are living beautiful lives, if not better than, some of them are better even than myself, you know. And it's beautiful to see how she has grown them. And how she did it was love. She loved her children. When she could, she did.
Yes.
I still remember her telling me a story. She would go every week when she had that money in her, and she would buy 4 little chocolates. And that was her give back to her children when everything was scarce at that point.
Sure.
And she paid high importance on education. So guys, there's a few things you cannot take away. Medical, health, right? You do not fall away your medical health insurances, or if you can go to government hospitals, make use of it, right?
Yes.
That's going to help you big time budgeting in terms of health. Yes, you're going to sit in the long queues, fine, but do it. The second thing is education. Work for that education. That is what you would really give back to the future. Now today, my mother-in-law lives like an absolute queen. Look,
Sure.
taken care of as the golden queen of today, and she's enjoying it. And I look at that and I focus on it, and I say, yes, I've got to focus on, I know there are times I'm going to keep away that 5 rand and not tell my husband and all of that. But if I got with good intentions and love,
Yes,
and he trusts me on that,
Yes.
he's got to trust me on that.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like the trust.
Trust, love, understanding. And now the new family dynamics, I mean, them days, my mom and dad, and so with my mother-in-law, never told us we didn't have 550 rand, but you needed 25 rand to go on a school excursion.
Yeah.
You know, they never told us. And they probably went to the neighbor and borrowed it, or to their uncle, or they took an advance on their salary or something.
Or loan.
Or loan,
Yeah.
and did it. But they did it. But they were very disciplined and responsible. They paid it back. Us South
Yes.
Africans got a terrible culture of borrowing and not paying back.
Even from friends, hey?
Yes.
And family, especially family.
Yes. So we need to, the whole idea is to not borrow as ever. If you can take 10 rand and manage it for the rest of the month and know that you didn't borrow 5 rand,
Yes.
that's fine. It's very similar to my husband. He says, fine. I said, I want to get married. He says, fine, lovely, we'll get married. But he says, on condition, it's on cash. And then when we finish with this wedding,
Yeah.
you would not have one expense carried over from there. And I was unhappy, because it means I had to reduce my wedding to 200 people instead of 1,000 people. So I had to reduce everything, but it was one of the most beautiful weddings.
Yes.
And I was able to, a year later, purchase a house with him. So you see, I might have not have liked it at first, because I want to be like that woman. I want to gather, I want to feel, I want to
Yes.
celebrate. But we have to be realistic.
Sure.
And both husband and wife need to be part and parcel of comprehending what's the bigger vision.
Yo, Shika, thank you so much for sharing such insightful information. If our viewers need some more information, where can they go in order to contact you and get more information about how to manage their finances?
You're most welcome to contact me on @Shika_Mohonlal_Harry Paul. I'm on social media all Instagram as well as Facebook. So if you just type in, obviously, Shika Mohonlal Harry Paul or Shika Harry Paul, you will find me.
Shika Harry Paul.
Yeah,
ne?
Shika Harry
Harry
Paul.
as in HARRY.
Paul.
Paul. Paul.
Yes, there we
Like
go.
Apostle
South
Paul.
African
Okay.
history.
Good. All right. Thank you so much, my dear. Any last words to our viewers over there at home?
Yes, everything in life will change. Everything around you will change. You might not have the same home. You might not have the same car. But if you can concentrate on having the same husband and wife and children at all times and keep that flowing, we will get by.
You are with your host, Khanyisa Mutema. We've come to the end of a wonderful discussion on money, and I hope that you are empowered and you will now start saving even that 5 rands or 10 rands. And remember, do not borrow more than you can afford to pay back, and make it intentional to pay back. Thank you.